No facial expressions when these questions are duds, and you be like, "Oh God."
Yeah, I won't have any facial expressions, brother. I love you, man. I'm glad that you're doing this on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Lord have mercy. It says try logging into Facebook again.
Maybe it's just not meant to be.
No, we can work around it. I'll show you how we'll get around it.
All right.
We will record without going live.
There you go.
Old old school.
Did you send me your book so I can Slack it or not Slack it? Grammarly
I
it.
sent it yesterday, brother, in
You
Slack.
did okay. In Slack. Okay, I'll go get it.
All
I
right.
didn't think you sent it yesterday, but you were up. What time did you go to sleep? Around 2.
Yeah, it was. Okay, well, I'm going to hit record, so it's going to be serious now, okay?
All right, then.
Here we go.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. It's your boy, Mike Black, the co-host of Impacting Life 247. So we're changing things up tonight. I'm going to go ahead and be hosting tonight, and we're going to bring you a special interview with your host, Mr. C.L. King. He's going to bring to us tonight talking about his book, and I'm going to ask him a series of questions, and we'll just go through those questions. But one thing I like to say about Mr. CL is his setup is so professional, and I just dig that he's got all these books, the knowledge behind him. He calls it his cathedral of resources. My man has just coined so many phrases that are smoother than the other side of the pillow. Let me tell you, folks out there, he is a smooth cat. He's a smooth operator, and that's how I like to roll, because I'm just as smooth as him when I want to be. But I just love him to death, and I'm so glad he's invited me to do this tonight. So bear with us, because I'm co-hosting. There's bound to be some technical difficulties. So just bear with us in advance, and we thank you for that. And so without further ado, I'd like you to put your hands together and welcome my man, Mr. C.L. King.
What's up,
Welcome,
Mike
CL.
Black? What's up, Mike Black? How you doing, brother?
Doing great, man.
Did you like
Doing
that fade?
awesome.
Did you like that fade out, bro?
I like that fade out. That was sweet.
Yeah,
that was
man.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. That's how we do, baby. That's how we do up in Impactville. It's so good to see you, man. So glad to be back together.
Yeah, man. So glad to be here. And thanks for, reversing the roles here tonight. So I get to interview you. And with that, we'll just get right into it. So question number one that I have for you is, and ladies and gentlemen, he doesn't know these questions. So when you were younger, did you ever think you would write a book?
You know, Black, I did not. And now that I'm 47, throughout this process, I really didn't think I'd finish the book, bro. As you know, because I'm going to be interviewing you about your book that's coming out. It's a task, especially when you've got other things pulling at you. And so as a kid, I was in survival mode, bro. You know, I didn't get a lot of aspirations until I got to Ruth E. Plowden's house. Up until then, it was just survival mode. So no, not as a kid. I did not ever envision writing a book.
Okay. All right. Question number two. What or who inspired you to write a book?
Well, you should probably know that. And I'm sitting atop of the Ruth E. Plowden Legacy Chair right here in the high definition studios of Impacting Life 24/7. And I forgot, Mike, that I haven't written the dedication part of the book, you know, who the book is dedicated to.
Right.
And, I've been wrestling with that because people get offended. You know what I mean? People, if they feel like they've been left out, they get offended. But obviously the main genesis behind this is Ruth E. Plowden. She opened up her home to 86 kids, Mike. And so the motivation to write this book is in honor of her. But then there's a second motivation.
Okay.
Remember, you and I talked about this. You have pictures of your childhood that are going to be in your book, which is coming out shortly. We're both kind of racing to the finish line on our books.
Right.
You've got pictures of your growing up years, Mike. You got pictures of being with family and special occasions. And Mike, I have only 3 pictures in my possession of my childhood.
Wow.
3 pictures, one with my grandmother on the church steps and 2 with my dad in a church somewhere and a restaurant. And so I don't know about my family lineage and legacy and heritage. I don't know anything about my dad's dad. I don't even know who his dad was, right? And so, on the other side of my family, I know that there's a lot of them, but I hardly ever lived and interacted with those people. So I don't even know the other side of my family, the king side. So the second motivation is for my children to know what their dad went through for us to get to where we are today. They don't know a lot of it. They hear me talk about it, but they don't know the struggle and the real pain that I went through. And so it's going to be good for them and their children and their children's children to know that, hey man, we came out of the crucible of struggle. We came from we were boiling and rolling in adversity. And that's what I want my kids to know. I pass this on to them, brother, and it will live in infamy long after I'm gone.
That's amazing, man. One thing that occurred to me while you were talking is about sharing about not having very many pictures. I didn't know that, but I find it interesting that you always want to take a picture and you always want to record something. And so I think there's something to that. But that is just special, and it shows the impact that she had on you and that you have impacted others in your family, and you're always taking pictures and taking them out and wanting to do things with them. So I find that to be very special, and I find that to be an interesting parallel, to your upbringing and childhood, to how you're raised as an adult. You're always taking pictures, you're always doing things with your kids. And those of you that don't know him, I mean, this man is just dedicated father, husband, so loving, so caring. I mean, I can't say enough about him. And he's always wanting me to take a picture. And when we're together, and I'm always like, can we just create a memory? And he takes a picture anyways, and then he posts on Facebook. And I get home and I'm like, I didn't even know I was there,
But interestingly enough, Black, I am back in my closet. I probably have 5 to 7 to 10,000 pictures since I've been married and with raising these kids. As you know, back in the days, we didn't have digital photography, so everything was either the cheap old spin thing, you know what I mean? The
disposable ones, you had to take down and get them developed. The kids don't know nothing about this today. You had to take it there.
They don't know nothing about that,
you're like,
bro.
The pictures are here.
Yeah, and so it was important for me to capture those moments, brother, like birthdays and Christmases and all of those things. That it was so important because sometimes even your kids forget. When they get mad at you or they get twisted with you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They
and
forget.
You whip out the baby pictures and be like, yo, I changed your diapers.
That's right. That's right.
I taught you how to tie your shoes and eat with a spoon, right?
Black.
You know what I'm saying?
Think about it. We took care of our children in their most vulnerable state.
Sure.
We got them through their most vulnerable time. And so when we get old and the sun starts setting on us, it really is supposed to be a reciprocation. Our kids are supposed to take care of us in their most vulnerable time. And so that's why I have all these pictures, because it's a reminder when they go through them after Charity and I pass away and they're looking at all these memories, they will remember, man, we had a great childhood. Dad wasn't perfect. Mom wasn't perfect, but man, we tried to not duplicate what I went through as a kid.
That's right. Awesome, man. The next question I have for you is, what types of challenges have you faced in writing the book?
I'm a procrastinator.
You are a procrastinator.
I feel like I'm better at the 2-minute drill. I'm the master of the last minute. If it wasn't for the last minute, I might not get nothing done, right?
So that's challenging, right? And let me challenge you, that has it taught you to be more, I don't want to use the word diligent because I know you're diligent, but has it taught you to be more methodical, maybe more, intentional, slow and steady type deal? Well,
you're right, Black. That's I think that's your methodology, which is why your book is so successful, getting to where it's at. You were a major inspiration to me because you kind of gently nudged me along the way. When I hear you saying, I'm at 60 pages and I'm at this, and I'm thinking, my goodness, okay, let me get on the stick.
Okay.
But I will say this also, that when you take on a challenge like writing a book, okay, major life events still happen.
Right.
Right.
Right. Life
And
still goes on.
life
right.
still goes on. And we had some major life events that affected my psyche. You know what I'm saying? In addition to writing the book, sometimes
Sure.
I had to put the book down because I've caught myself reliving those moments I was describing in the book.
Oh, I got you.
You see what I'm
got
saying?
you.
So
I see what you're
there
saying.
was a couple, dichotomies or wars going on within me. And then to compound that, you know what I mean? I'm always like, oh, I can get it done. Oh, I can get it done. Oh, I can get it done. You know what I mean? We were supposed to have the book in print by 7/24, but I did finish the manuscript by 7/23. So I'm like, okay, I didn't get all the way to where I wanted to, but it's important to set a goal. I do
Right.
believe that writing a book is it takes on its own personality. Like
Right.
some people can, write a chapter a day. Some people can write a couple words. It is really based on your personality, your inspiration, and your desire to get it done. Some people take 3, 4, 5 years to get their book done. Remember, I just started writing in January, bro.
In January.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you're talking 7 months, and we're done with the
And-
manuscript.
Well, but you think my book, I started writing my book at the tail end of 2021. Well, actually January 2021. So I've been writing it a little bit longer than you. So maybe that's why I've kind of seemed like I was ahead of you. But I was reading something that said that autobiographies are one of the tougher books, to write. So out the gate, we're writing autobiography, or you would call it a memoir, but I think it's more of an autobiography that you're writing, from your childhood on up. But they say those are the most challenging books to write.
What?
So, like,
What's most challenging?
the autobiographies
Yeah,
and
yeah,
or
yeah.
memoirs. So they are the most challenging books to write because, like you said, you're reliving some of those memories, and it should be cathartic, but it was also, like you said, bringing up some of those hurtful things that have happened, and you've had to deal with it emotionally.
The thing about it is, Black, that I put it down. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I would put the book down for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, and
Okay.
that was helpful.
Okay, take
You know
a
what I
break
mean?
from
That
it,
was
right.
that was helpful. It's just like if a writer gets writer's block if they're trying to create fictional stories or something like that. I
Sure.
never had writer's block. I knew everywhere I was going because I was just recanting the experiences, right?
Right.
But the motivation to be diligent to do the work. It is work. It's
is
work,
work.
bro.
It is work, yeah. Because when you're writing it, like you want to be a perfectionist, but at the same token, you want it to be authentic and real. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Next question I have is, let's see, what have you learned about yourself in the process of writing this book? But like you said, you're just a procrastinator. So
Yeah.
probably,
What I've
is there
learned.
anything additional that you've learned?
Well, what I've learned is that there's room for me to grow.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, in other words, the mechanics and the methodology required to put a work like this together is different than the mechanics of going and giving a speech.
Mm,
Two entirely different things. Like
right.
if somebody, usually if I get an invitation to come somewhere and speak, I immediately, obviously pray and go into deep thought about what they want me to deliver, right? So I'm marinating and ruminating on this topic, if it could be months in advance. And then, as you see, the night when I gave Chris's keynote speech at his graduation, if you remember, I did not print the speech out until the night of. You remember that?
Yes, and I remember thinking, this is crazy. But I mean, I didn't doubt you, but you're like, and I don't know if you were half joking because I remember that vividly. That yes, I stayed the night, so I'm gonna crack on myself. But I didn't bring my onesie or anything like that.
That's
but,
right. No onesie.
That's my brother, and so I'm staying like my brother, so ain't nothing weird about it. But I remember saying, "Are you done with that, Chris?" And he says, "Oh, I'm gonna write it tonight." And I'm like, "Did you even start it?" You were like, "No," and I was like, I was freaking out for you. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, it's tomorrow." What do you
I know,
like,
but see, the crazy
I'm
thing
like-
is,
I'm like,
Black, that was
okay.
it was in my heart for 4 months.
Sure,
You know
no,
what I
I
mean?
get that. But I would have had to have that on paper, and I would have had to write it 16 times and scripted it, and been in the bathroom practicing in the mirror. Let me count the ways. I'd be like, ain't no way,
yeah,
dog.
man.
It ain't
yeah.
no way.
Well, see, and that's the difference, because, like, for me, speaking is just as natural and easy, and I can't describe how much exhilaration and endorphins I get when I'm allowed to speak in front of people. But I also, it's become my process of how I deliver a speech. You know what I mean? Like, I don't type it out or write it until either the day of or the night before, because I want it to be so fresh that even I haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
it's just a thing. But writing a book, you can't take that approach, Doc.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't take that approach like, well, I'm just gonna, because what happens is time passes. If you set a deadline, as you see, we missed the completion deadline, and it just taught me that there's more work for me to do. I've got a second book in my spirit. It's more of a leadership book, and that book is going to be more. It's going to require a more methodical approach. Because we're going to interview people, and we're going to get statements from folks, and so it's going to be more work, and I've got to be more diligent and have a strategy more than just sometimes just winging it.
Sure, I got you. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Okay, what would you like to share with the audience about writing a book? The good, the bad, the ugly.
The good is, man, that you're going to have something, and it gives you the capacity, Mike, to impact a generation that has yet to be born. And you can affect that generation from the grave.
Wow.
Long after, brother, that's powerful, ain't it? I feel goosebumps even right now. Long after you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
When you write that, when that literary work that you birthed, it will be on the shelf for your children's 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 children. Long after you're gone. I think about the book that I try to get you to read, but you refuse to read it, The Life of the Bee. That book affects me, and he wrote it back in the 1800s, bro. And it takes me to where he's speaking. So the good is you'll be able to affect people from long after you're gone. The bad is that people are going to judge you. And you have been sequestered in this nest of creativity. Boy, that's good, Black, right?
Did you take that from the Life of the Beast book?
No, brother, I'm just saying, man. Sequestered. You know what I mean? And so, and you have been wrestling with yourself about what to put, what not to put. I mean, I've got some pretty vivid and descriptive things that happen to me, right? So I had to find a way to not have a book full of vile, you know what I mean? Like, this is parental guidance only, you know what I mean? So I had to really dress some things up but by still telling the story. Well, the bad is now I got to open myself up to editors. When the book's finished, people are going to criticize. I didn't think it was going to be this. I thought it was going to be about, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then the ugly is unfortunately what I'm writing about, Black, is my story, right?
Right.
And some of the people are still living.
Right.
Now, some have challenged me and warned me, saying, hey, man, maybe you need to put this off. But I'm just like, I've put it off for 47 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think now is the time. I didn't write that book, Mike, to sit up on some top of high hill and throw stones at people.
Right.
Because, if truth be told, I wasn't the greatest parent either. I didn't do the stuff that was done to me to my kids, but I could have probably did a whole lot of things better. And so the ugly is that there are going to be people alive who were the perpetrators of these events that are going to read it. And there's nothing that I can do about that, man. When you write a book like this, just like Nisi, her book's behind me,
right.
Behind closed doors, she's telling a story of something that was very, very painful. Being assaulted by family members it's very painful. And then for them to still be alive, that's going to create some sort of uncomfortable situation.
Sure. I got you. Thanks for sharing that. So what advice would you give others on writing a book?
Here's what I'm finding. And I think you see this too, Black, especially now that we're down at the finish line, right, that there is a multitude of things that you can do that people say is right and wrong, right, with your book.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, should you publish it yourself? Should you not publish it? All these things. And what I would challenge people is I enjoy because I'm kind of a control freak, right? I enjoy the control that I have of this process. You know what I mean? I didn't just write it and then turn it over to somebody and they put it all together in a fancy bow. No, I'm walking this thing all the way to the finish line. But some people that may not be their mojo. That may not be their gift. So you've got to find, there's 10,000 ways that people say, here's how you write a book. But I'm also finding that there's 10,000 other ways that people say, no, you don't write it like that. You write it like this. Right? So really what the truth of the matter is, when I look at all these books behind me, they all have a different format. You know what I mean? They're not following, in college you got the APA and MLA format, right?
Right.
All these people wrote, according to the format that they wanted to produce. And so don't get so hung up. That's what I would say to people. Don't get so hung up on, did I write it in the right format, or did I have the right spacing, or did I put the pictures in the right? Man, write the book.
Right.
Write the book. And you're going to find, and I went to a training with a gentleman who said this, for those of you who are speakers or those of you coaches, all that kind of stuff, man, when you finish that book, it's not just about you getting paid millions of dollars for the book, but that thing is going to open up doors for you that you otherwise would not have been able to walk through. Like you, Black, you're a coach and a teacher and a trainer and a philosopher. And when you have that book, that gives you a different credibility than someone that doesn't. That guy said that he wrote a book and he applied to be a speaker at some sort of Goodyear conference with a bunch of executives, right? Well, I guess other speakers had applied for that gig, and they chose him only because he had a book. Wow. So then when he went to, meet with them and work out the particulars, he said, so what did you think of the book? They said, oh, we didn't even read it. We just figured anybody who's written a book has got some credibility, and the other speakers didn't have it. So you got it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I would say, man. We get ready for the doors to open. I'm believing that we're going to be able to obviously sell thousands of books and put these in people's hands. But I'm also saying that I'm looking forward to the additional doors opening, because I want to reach so many people, Black. And if my first ambition is not money,
right? My
first ambition is impact.
Right.
Now you can have both. I think they can walk in parallel. Okay,
sure.
I don't want to live broke. I want, what I'm saying?
But at the same token, let's just say, and you mentioned that you got another book idea. You get inspired and want to write another book. I'd like to just add that when you're writing a book, it costs money.
It does.
It costs money to do things.
It does.
So you know what I'm saying? Think about this. You make some money and you flip some money, you'll have the money to write another book.
Right.
You won't have to be stressing about, well, how much does this cost to edit? How much does that cost to edit?
Yeah.
What about this? And we've been able to do things very frugal manner, both of us, because we're doing it at the same time. For the same token, I mean, we ain't got no big time dollars. We dropping 10 grand on some hopty topty fancy, whatever,
Right.
and have them. We don't have that kind of funds, man.
And that's why, that's why when we say to people, okay, here's some lessons learned.
Right.
Don't get yourself trapped up in all these commercial, scams that are on the internet. You know what I mean? Because everybody's talking a good game. It trips me out, man. Like, these people offer free classes on the internet, right? Oh, come to my master class. It's free, right? But there's always an ulterior motive. There's always a back.
Trying to sell you something.
They'll finish the class and then they're like, well, if you want to go to the next level, and I've stopped doing that in my classes, man. I'm like, if I offer you a free class, then I'm not going to sell you nothing in the back. If I offer you a free class, I'm not going to sell you nothing. If I offer you a paid class, obviously there's levels to that.
Right.
So yeah, I would just tell people, man, to follow your heart. Obviously communicate. We're blessed, Mike, because we got 2 authors on our staff. So we can bounce stuff off of them.
And we do.
And we do. We had a ad hoc meeting on Sunday to talk about various things. And so, now that we're down to the wire, now we got to start shelling out some cash to get the book completely authentic. And that's what you're going to have to realize. If you're doing it on a shoestring budget, just be advised that at the end, if you're self-publishing, there's some funds that you're going to have to definitely come up with.
Definitely. Well, Chris, you answered all the questions, and there was like questions I had because, again, I didn't give him the questions in advance, people, and he just answered questions that I had written. So that's how just in tune we are. But the last question I had, I guess, is that, and you touched on it, but just rehash how important it is to have your support system, not just, Mike Black pushing you, but who else has been kind of supporting you and motivating you along the way, whether it's family and like you said, life happens. So just end on that, because we're at 3 minutes over, but
that's okay.
It didn't even feel like we went 3 minutes.
I know,
over.
man. I think we started late anyway, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fine. But you're right relative to the support system. I really just need to thank our sponsors, because many of our sponsors, we collaborate on other things, and they'll just drop a message, man. They'll drop a message to me saying, hey, look, you got it. Keep going. If I post a clip or something about the book, they're very, very encouraging. And these are people from all across the country. You know what I mean? They're people that are pursuing their own ambitions, and they always stop and, give me a motivation. Stephanie Eccles Toon reminds me of every day she sends me a scripture, and she had my book publishing date on her calendar, and she reached out to me and had said, hey, where are you on this? And it was just like, wow, people really do care about this journey. You know what I'm saying? And of course, my wife, she understands, and she saw the behind the scenes wrestling.
Right.
You know what I mean? She got to see, everybody sees me here, the motivator, blah, blah, blah. Right. But she got to see the anguish and the emotional side, and helped me through that. Sometimes you don't need to necessarily talk to someone just to let them know, hey, look, I'm here for you and I understand what you're going through,
Right.
And
that's so important.
So the support system has been multifaceted. Of course, Greg, the brother sends me messages almost every morning, calls me an author, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what I'm looking forward to, Mike, I'll be honest with you, I got a little emotional when I finished that last chapter, because it's like, okay, I'm done with this. There's nothing else to write, Right. And it's like, wow, the sense of accomplishment just at that point, I can't imagine what it's like when I'm holding that thing in my hand and it says CL King on it, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's something, and yours, that's something that nobody will be able to take away from us, man.
That's inspiring. Yep. I feel the same way, man. That's awesome, man. Well, that's the interview for tonight. You've been excellent guest, and I've been an excellent co-host.
Yeah, you've been a great co-host, Black. The thing about it
Thanks, man.
The thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, is that we didn't plan this until today. Black is a more methodical person than I am, far more methodical, and he's far more deliberate and strategic than I am, which helps me because he helps me in crisis time to really just calm down and assess things. You know, I am like the guy that wants to run into the fire and you know, whatever. But Mike is more calculated, which helps me to be, you know, I glean from him. And then what I try to pour into him is spontaneity. You know what I mean? So I tell him, hey, look, Black, I asked him today, I said, are you busy? I want you to co-host the show. And look what a magnificent job he did. This is why he and Greg are my closest confidants and friends, because I can call on them at any time. Just this past Sunday, these guys were on Sunday afternoon break, and even the whole staff, right? I said, I need some answers. I put it in our communication tool, and everybody started responding. So, man, we're blessed, bro. I'm so thankful for you, Black. I'm looking forward to interviewing you about your book. Just send me your questions and I'll just re-ask them to you. So I don't have to do no work.
Because you'll be throwing me some curveballs.
Yeah, you know.
I'll be like, I'll be like, what kind of questions are these, man? What?
Can you tell us the forensics of the philosophy of chapter number 2?
I'll be like, man, I was throwing you softballs and you're over here throwing me 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. I don't know what's coming at me. Oh, Lord.
Oh, man. So Danny and I are getting together, and that's something that you got to do, Mike. We'll talk about that. But we're getting we're putting together, I already purchased whoatemybrownie.com. So I own that domain. We're going to make a landing page. Danny and I are going to work on that tomorrow, where that's the page that people can go to buy the book, but also where they can continue to connect with me through our podcast or through, you know, our mailing list. We're putting things together like that, being a part of our leadership group, whatever. And so that's another element that has to be with your book to be effective. And so I'm looking forward to getting that done with Danny tomorrow. And that's something that you got to do too, Black. Your book is called, what's the title of your book?
The Journey of One Tortoise.
The Journey of One Tortoise. And it's interesting because we're both writing autobiographies, and both of our autobiographies have, you know, they're like diametrically opposed, right? But
yes, very much so. But
there's nothing like being able to put on paper the story of your lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's hardships or whether it's great things, I believe both of our books are going to inspire multitudes of people, brother.
I believe so too. Absolutely, man. So it's been great. Been a great time tonight. Enjoyed spending these 39 minutes with you. Actually, we got on at 6:30. So
no, we didn't. We got on at 6:30 to try to work out the bugs.
Yes, we were having some technical difficulties.
We had to restart our computers. Still, we couldn't go live tonight. Something's wrong there. It's just like, but you know what? You should have seen us when we first started, right, Black?
Oh my goodness, what a train wreck, man! And you still got those archives.
I still got them, man.
You got them in a safe somewhere, like
dude,
bunkered
man.
away.
You know, we're hosted on Podbean. Podbean carries us, but my first platform that carried us was called Messy.fm. Sounded like some adult site, bro.
I mean, that's exactly what it was. Messy. I'll tell you what. It was messy, man.
Yeah, man. So I'll get this uploaded, man. So it'll be online here in just a few minutes. But thank everybody. Thank you, Mike Black. Thank to our whole team. I'm so excited to get this book done. Thanks for giving me an interview, Mike. And we'll do the same for you. We'll reverse the roles. Okay, brother?
Okay, man.
All right. Y'all have a great night.
Have a blessed night, everybody.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.